Alright, ito na. Pag-usapan natin ito. So China just came out with a statement blaming the Philippines for the rising tensions in the area. I mean, these are like the gaslight kings of the earth. Pilipinas pa daw ang may kasalanan sa mga nangyari. Ito ay ayon sa Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin ng China. Sa kanila Foreign Ministry, of course, maraming nainis sa kanila, including of course yung mga galing sa Pilipinas, officials in the Philippines. So Tariela, Commodore J. Tariela of the Philippine Coast Guard, aka Bad Boy of the West Philippine Sea. Ayon sa kanya, how can we engage you in a dialogue and consultation when your statement begins by blaming the Philippines for escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea, accusing us of deliberately provoking China and infringing on your territorial sovereignty? How can we trust China's commitment to maintaining regional peace and stability when you deploy the China Coast Guard to use water cannons against our PCG and BFAR vessels, which are on purely humanitarian missions? And how can you claim territorial sovereignty over these waters based on the 10-line, which your own government decided to draw, disregarding the UNCLOS that your country also signed, not to mention, of course, the arbitration award of 2016. Let's not forget that the second Thomas Shoal or Ayungin Shoal is not even a territory. It's just a low tide elevation extension of our extension of our continental shelf. So in short, China is really drawing the line and saying, I'm not interested in any kind of compromise. How do you see this, Ronald? Kasi for me, the reason na medyo nakakatakot ito is because this is coinciding and at the same time dialectically reinforcing yung internal divisions within the Philippine political establishment. I'll be honest with you, Ronald, I'm hearing some people who are not necessarily fans of the Dutertes, but they're saying natatakot sila na itong divisions sa UNITIM will only strengthen China's hands. That this has to be resolved in one way or another, even if that means cutting the umbilical cord between the VP and the father. If the father is a troublemaker, this daughter really has to stay away, because I think some quarters are thinking they can still keep Sarah on the good side, or at least on the sane side, and cut off the father and tell her, wag mo i-drag down yung daughter mo. How do you see this happening? Kasi yun nga, dito talagang Philippines is very unique. I cannot think of any other country whereby the superpowers are directly influencing and invested in and being also affected by really fights at the highest level, highest echelons of power.
Well, sabi nga nung isang one of the richest Filipinos, no, a few days back, no, na ito yata yung may-ari ng biggest mall system sa Pilipinas, no. Anong sabi niya? Na hindi makakatulong itong escalation na ito, no. Kailangan natin mag-step back at tignan ano yung magiging epekto nito sa ating economy, no. Bagamat ang focus niya ay economy. Tapos yung binabanggit mo, yung epekto nito sa ating political dynamics, no? Duda ako na maghahati yung mag-ama, yung Vice President at saka yung ex-president sa issue ng West Philippine Sea, sa issue ng China. Duda ako. Tingin ko beyond the point na sila na maghihiwalay. Mas ang kanila ngayon is a common survival. Kahit marami silang issues sa isa't isa, tingin ko ngayon ay common survival na yung nagbabind sa kanila. At tingin ko for now ay hindi yan madidivide ng issue na napaka-significant issue like the West Philippine Sea or China. No, yun yung isa. Pero at the same time, ang tingin ko, China won't cross the line militarily. At least not yet. Not yet. No? Tingin ko not for the next few years. Ang problema is accidents happen. No, yun yung problema. Kung merong mangyaring aksidente, no? Not necessarily between China and the Philippines, kung hindi an accident between our allies and China, no? Yun yung dali. Kaya doon nagwo-worry yung ibang mga ASEAN friends natin. Doon nagwo-worry ang Malaysia, doon nagwo-worry ang Singapore, no? Ang problema naman doon sa ating mga friends sa ASEAN, halimbawa, ang Singapore naman ay wala namang territorial dispute. At beneficiary sila ng financial transactions, massive financial transactions with China. Yung Malaysia naman, no, ay bagamat meron din silang counting claims, no. Eh ang daming big ticket projects with China, no. Kaya sa ngayon medyo circumspect sila about itong nangyayari. Ayaw nilang madamay sa gulo, no. Kaya iba yung interest ng mga kaibigan natin sa ASEAN. Kaya for now hindi ko masyadong aasahan ng ASEAN, no. Kahit dapat magkaroon ng strong position, halimbawa sa Code of Conduct, no? I doubt kung ASEAN will go out of its way to help us dito sa ating problema with China. Pero yung buong mundo gusto tayong tulungan. Yung buong mundo nakikisimpatya sa atin, no? Nagulat nga ako nung nabasa ko yung mga news about do sa Christmas convoy, no, na bumalik. Ang dami, from Sweden to Italy to France to the Netherlands to Germany, at dami nagpapadala. Buti na lang may instant translation ngayon, no? Yung kaya nagulat ako sa dami. Mas marami lumabas sa international kaysa sa local. Pero sa local ang dami rin. Hanggang yesterday, may mga lumalabas, no? Ang Rappler gumawa ng special. Tomorrow gagawa ang 1PH, yung paborito mong TV station, ng special about the Christmas convoy. And that's more than a week ago, no? So talagang yung buong mundo, kahit yung mga maliliit na activities katulad ng Christmas convoy, pinapanood nila at sinusuportahan nila, no? Ibig sabihin kung yung ASEAN ay medyo reserved, no, vis-a-vis our engagement, yung mundo ay very supportive, no? Ngayon, ibang usapin kung how will that play into our engagement.
But Ronald, I'll push back
Yeah.
against it. I'll say that the mundo you're talking about is
Yeah.
Italy, Sweden, US, Japan.
Yeah.
They all sound Western to me, right? Like
Yeah.
it matters if Vietnam speaks out, and I think Vietnam kind of shares our perspective on these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Vietnam should actually say something because we stood in solidarity with them on multiple times, including nung binuling fisherman nila in 2021. We released a solidarity statement. My understanding is that there's going to be a visit to a key ASEAN country by President Marcos Jr. soon. So I'm not giving up on entire ASEAN. I think ASEAN 10, as you know, as an organization, is just north of useless in terms of helping us in this. But some key ASEAN countries, I think, can be very useful bilaterally. Vietnam, Singapore, Indonesia, who knows? Even with Malaysia, although with Anwar
I agree with you. I agree with you, Richard.
Kasi
No?
yung
Halimbawa,
concert ni Ronald, di ba? Sweden, yes, they have been neutral for 350 years, but they're no longer neutral. They joined NATO, right? So that's my problem. The optics is not good. When you rather want India, Turkey, Brazil, you know, those kinds of countries, I don't know, Vietnam speaking in support of us, or at least not, you know, pushing back against the Chinese bullying, even indirectly.
tingin ko yung Latin America will take time, no? Pero Vietnam, yes. Lalo na yung Vietnam has an historic scaling up ng relationship with the US. Di ba? It happened, kailan ba? Last month, no? Yung nag-scale up sila ng military economic engagement with the US, no? So, tingin ko yung Vietnam or possibly Indonesia, no? Ay pwedeng mahatak natin in the middle.
But hindi na sila chair. Kasi this year chair sila. Ang problema pag chair ka, you have to be neutral. Kasi you're 10 But I think once hindi na chair and then they have a new president na more friend.
Pero patapos na Patapos na yung kanilang chairmanship
Oh, kaya nga, this year lang. And then patapos na rin si Jokowi. He's gonna be out by February. So Valentine's Day next year is there gonna be the next presidential election. So we might see a different Indonesia. Not totally, but different enough for us to find a common ground. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, ang kuwan ko naman dito sa mga bansang ito, no? Hindi ko inaasahan sila. They're too far away. Pero bakit sila gumagawa ng statements? Mas ganun pa yung context. Ikalawa, as part of Europe. No, as part of Europe. Dahil alam ko interesado rito UK tsaka France and to some extent Spain, no? May ganung klaseng Tingin ko itong mga to, halimbawa, yung mga 6 na vessels ng Coast Guard natin, ang nagbigay niyan is France. No? France ang nagbigay niyan, no? Ang UK, tingin ko may plano rin magbigay ng battleship, no?
Correct.
Hindi ko alam yung Spain, no? So, ibig sabihin hindi
Israel magbibigay din sila ng
hindi insignificant. Hindi yan insignificant. Halimbawa, yung isang major shipbuilding company sa France, nagtayo ng office dito, yung OSEA. So, magagandang mga initial moves, no? Yung mga bansa na dati ay walang pakialam sa atin. No? Ito dati walang pakialam. Ngayon, they're establishing toeholds into the country. No?
Well, to be fair, wala rin tayong pakialam sa kanila dati, right? I mean, if you're US, Philippines ka, purong US ka, ganun. But
pero nagulat ako na nakaka-approve lang ng GSP Plus with Europe. Yung US ang hindi pa tapos. No?
Yes.
Yung US hindi pa tapos.
I just interviewed the ambassador recently. No, I mean, my point is, Ronald, magpasalamat tayo sa ating minamahal na Pangulo. Pumupunta siya sa iba't ibang bansa, naghirap siya, nag-build siya ng mga
4
bridges.
days sa
All
Japan,
of
no?
this
4
is
days,
about
oh.
the
Hindi ka
hard
ba
work of
hindi ka
our
ba sumama? Hindi ka ba sumama sa Japan? Ha?
mamaya na ako may separate track ako dyan. Kasi marami sila masyado. Ayoko
Nahanap kita eh doon sa picture. Sabi ko, kasama si Richard, di ba?
may separate track 2 na. Ito. So, Ronald, you're actually, I like the point you said about Latin America. I mean, I'm very skeptical about Latin America because Latin America is very lefty, anti-USE, and China is a very big player there. So, mahirap yan. But I think it's worth a shot because at least there are a couple of governments in Latin America that, yun nga eh. Kasi, I mean, Ronald, ikaw, to be honest, like, how do you feel when you hear from other ASEAN countries and all? Kayo kasi mga Pilipino, Western kayo masyado eh. Like, how do you feel about that? Because I mean, it's true, and at the same time, it's not true. It's not true in the sense that they're trying to dismiss us as being just a U.S. lackey in a way, or like being too far away from them. And it's a gaslighting because we're the only one who bothers to actually stand up to China. But at the same time, I mean, vocally, at the same time, but it's true naman talaga na iba tayo sa ibang ASEAN countries eh. Wala silang anything like Ilustrados, Rizal, liberal democratic traditions. No ASEAN country has had that. Just be brutally honest. What are the two other ASEAN democracies? Indonesia and Malaysia, ang layo sa atin, ang layo-layo nila. And the little one experience we had with Thailand, hindi naman tumagal. So we're really the only liberal democracy in this part of the world. But we're also Latinos, right? We are Hispanic in a certain sense. And that's a very underdeveloped part of our diplomacy. I mean, how do you see that? Kasi the reason I'm asking you is because marami kang connection rin dun sa mga Latin American left, yung mga kaibigan natin dyan, di ba? Who are, with us on many other issues. Pero parang pagdating sa China always, parang ako pa yung new conservative. Parang ako pa yung neocon nila. Parang, wait lang, I'm just fighting for the Philippines' right. How does that make us neocon, right? When I oppose the West on other wrong policies they have around the world, including in the Middle East.
Well, una, yung mga attitude ng ating mga fellow ASEAN, nagbabago rin eh. Nagbabago rin eh. It depends on which side of their bread is buttered on, no? Hindi naman lahat sila kumakain ng bread, mas rice, no?
Pero kumakain sila ng butter lahat.
Yeah. So, halimbawa, nung nag-file tayo ng case sa UNCLOS, very supportive sila. No, halos lahat sila nandoon. Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, nandoon sila, no? Very excited sila doon sa kaso, no? Pero nagbabago 'yan depende sa kanilang economic relationship with China. At a particular moment mataas, at a particular moment mababa. Halimbawa, nung nanalo si Mahathir sa Malaysia, no? Very anti-China siya, di ba? Nung nanalo si Anwar, very pro-China. So depende rin diyan sa political climate sa kanilang mga bansa, no? Katulad ng possibly mangyari sa Indonesia in the next few months. So medyo fluid din eh. Maliban sa Cambodia at saka Laos, yung mga ibang bansa diyan ay nagbabago, no? Halimbawa, nung nagsalita ako doon sa Singapore Forum when I was a minister, no? Katulad ng sinasabi mo, very critical sila sa atin. Masyado kayong Western, masyado kayong ganito-ganito. No? Pero after a couple of years, very anti-China naman sila. No? Mukhang may nangyaring incident between them, no? Nagkaroon ng problema. So nagbabago yan. Depende sa political and economic climate of each country na miyembro ng ASEAN. No? Kitang-kita ko yan dun sa Mahathir to Anwar, no? Nagbago eh yung attitude nila. Naalala mo, kinancel ni Mahathir yung kanilang big ticket rail train project with China. Di ba? Tapos yung kanilang finance minister, si Lim Guaneng, no, ay na persona non grata sa China. Dahil siya yung bad cop ni Mahathir noon, no? Siya yung tiga-katay ng mga ginawa na mga deals ni Najib with China. Siya yung kumatay. Tapos ngayon, binabalik uli ni binabalik ngayon ni Anwar. So, yeah, nagbabago.
I actually slightly disagree with that because because I see your point. Ang akin lang naman is if you look at it, even Mahathir, right? Once he got the concessions from China, he sounded suddenly different in China. No, walang problema sa Huawei. Well, CIA spies on us. What's the problem if China does it? So, honestly, the way I see it, I completely agree with you. Na behind the scenes, they were very supportive. Pero opportunista sila eh. Nagpiggy bank sila sa atin eh. Yun ang nakikita ko ang tendency nila. They will speak out once in a while against China, but end of the day, they'll go back, they'll revert to the mean. Even Mahathir did that. Even I remember I interviewed him when he was in the Philippines. By the time he came to Manila, nag-tone down na siya sa anti-China sentiments niya. He was more saying, no, we are for investment, just high quality, ganon. Very different from his tone before, no? So, my sense is, ang problema sa mga ASEAN, including Vietnam, no? Ang tuwan-tuwa sila na file tayo ng arbitration, pero parang pinipiggy bank lang nila yung mga hirap natin eh. Tayong nabubugbog dito sa ASEAN, tayo lang lumalaban naman talaga all the way eh. Pero ang sasabihin naman nila, kayo kasi may alliance kayo sa US, kami wala. So, I don't know, medyo mixed feeling ako dito, Ronald eh. For me, there's really a streak of opportunism there, if not slight cowardice, I would say, no, on the part of some of our partners and
Well,
friends.
totoo rin naman yan,
I'll be
Richard.
honest, I love ASEAN, but I have to be honest about this.
Totoo rin naman yan, Richard. Diba, nung kausap ko yung mga Vietnamese, sabi nila, o pagkatapos nyo mag-file, kami naman ang susunod. No? 2024 na, hindi pa sila nagpa-file. No? Dahil nung na-meet ko sila last year, sabi ko sa kanila, magpa-file ba kayo? Sabi niya, hindi na. Dahil panalo na kayo eh. Okay na yan. At saka marami kami ngayong economic deals with China eh. Maraming mga umaalis ng mga companies from China sa Vietnam pumupunta. At
That's my point.
tatataka nila ng made in Vietnam para para magkaroon sila ng preferential option sa US. No? So tama yung sayo mo, opportunism yan eh. Pero that won't change eh. Hindi yan magbabago eh. No? Sino ba namang bansa dito sa ating region yung tatayo based on principle, based on ideology, no? Based on friendship. No?
No, but Ronald, so I think we now kind of have a common understanding of this. No? Just so, maganda yan, na-clear tayo doon. Now, ang akin lang naman, hindi naman ako ilusyonado. Alam ko naman na they're not gonna come out guns blazing and all. But, statement naman kayo ng medyo patagilid ng konti na, don't be nice to our founding member. Maybe, gusto mo naman hindi masyadong bully. Yun naman, konting ganon. Just a little love. Yun lang. Not 10, 4. Give us 4 at least. And they're not even giving us 4. They're giving us 0. So ang dalawang silent sa West Philippines ay ASEAN at Duterte's, right? Magsama na lang sila, di ba?
Pero yan, kailangan kasi nating i-strengthen din yung relasyon natin sa kanila, no? Halimbawa, kung yung ating BIMP IAGA with Indonesia ay nadala natin dun sa greater coordination. Meron tayong suasion kahit papano sa Indonesia to make some statements in support of us. Pero walang nangyari doon sa BIMP IAGA natin eh. No? It became an empty shell. No? So, kailangan din meron din tayong meron din tayong counting toehold sa kanila eh. No? Para din sila ay magkaroon ng interest to
Tama
support.
ka, Ronald. May pagkakulang din tayo eh. Actually, the reason I'm saying this is because ang pansin ko dito, may mutual dismissiveness. May mga iba dyan sinasabi, Pilipinas, Western yan. Yung mga sa Pilipinas, ASEAN, pro-China lahat yan, China's lucky. You're absolutely right. This is where you and I are completely on the same board. My criticism of ASEAN is from a position of love. And ang sinasabi ko, first you have to recognize yung kakulangan ng ASEAN and be honest about it. Ayoko ng plastikan. And then let's still engage ASEAN. Not ASEAN 10, medyo walang ano yan. Pero yung ASEAN 4, ASEAN 3, ASEAN 5, yung key members, yung mga kasing founding members natin or Vietnam for that matter. And I think President Marcos Jr. how do you see Marcos Jr.'s ASEAN policy? Looks like he wants to kind of do his dad thing, no? Being, an ASEAN leader, chummy-chums with Vietnam ngayon, minimit niya yung leaders ng parliament nila, ganun. Lahat ng mga effort na hindi ko nakita kay Digong or yung mga ibang Filipino presidents, in fairness kay BBM, no? He's trying to reach out to ASEAN in the spirit of ASEAN cooperation. I don't know about yung mga alalay na, but I think at the level of the president, I think he gets it, right?
Tingin ko, kumpara kay Digong, mas seryoso si BBM sa engagement with ASEAN. Pero I still have to see a strategy eh. Wala pa ako nakikitang framework na defining, no? Siguro baka pwede kang tumulong, no, to define that strategy. Pero ako from my vantage point wala pa ako nakikita. It's more trips, biyahe, no, yung usual MOU, yung mga ganun na nothing defining pa, no? Para makita na ito ang aking strategy vis-a-vis ASEAN. Ito yung aking key result areas. Ito yung gusto kong maabot sa aking 2025 at saka sa end of my term, no? Ito yung bubuksan ko, no, ng mga avenues, no? Ito yung aking ilalaban sa ASEAN, no? Minimum, maximum. Wala pa ako nakikita ng gano'n.
Last point, speaking of framework, President Marcos Jr. this week, patapos ng taon, sinabi niya na we need a quote new paradigm to deal with China, openly saying na yung traditional way of diplomacy with China, wala kang mapapala dyan. They will just blah blah their way and tuloy-tuloy yung bullying nila. How do you see that this whole new paradigm thing? Ito ba yung parang bagong lipunan na naman yan? Or he really meant it like really a new strategic approach? I don't know, more multilateral, which is what you've been saying. Maybe you should reach out more to Latin America, to EU, to ASEAN, I don't know, to Central Asia, to Middle East, whatever. We might not get 10, but we might get 4, 3, 2, right? Out of 10, that's still better than 0, right? How do you see the paradigm thing?
Again, no, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, from my vantage point, parang thinking out loud eh. Parang it's still rhetorical eh. No, wala pa ako nakikitang substance.
Tama ka.
Sa sinasabi niya, no? What do you mean by a paradigm shift? From what paradigm going into what paradigm, no? Yung even the contours wala akong nakikita eh, no? Kaya for now parang ang tingin ko lang diyan talking out loud, no? Rhetorical, etc. No?
All things without follow through.
Yeah. At wala akong nakikitang ideologue, wala akong nakikitang strategies sa DFA to help him out.
Kind of a Kissinger figure there.
To help him out. Wala rin sa cabinet ako nakikita ng ganon. Wala rin ako nakikita sa Malacanang, no? Unless may nakikita ka, no, na magde-develop ng ganung klase.
Magaling sila sa PR but you need strategic thinking. There has to be a doctrinal thinking. Kaya correct ka dyan eh.
Yeah, yun yung hinahanap ko, no, at this point. Kaya hindi ako maka-react sa tanong mo eh dahil for now wala akong nakikita naman.
That's the reaction I was expecting, which is think out loud. You put it perfectly right. This is the tendency, saying the right things, but it's more like thinking out loud rather than really laying out something there. I think he has many good PR people around him. That's why he does very well in elections. But you really need kind of strategic thinkers, like serious world-class strategic thinkers. Well, some of us are outside the government, but I don't know. Let me see. Maybe I'll figure out something for them in the meantime. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Big R, no?
It has been one of the blessings and joys of this year, this collaborations that we have had. And as you notice, as we collaborated, I opened up all sorts of different collaborations right and left. No, also with Chris Tan, not Christian Esquera, but we found another Chris. Who also, is also all over the place, kind of a good guy. We're
looking forward to our threesome with Leloy.
Leloy, Alexander Claudia, our good friend. Let's do also a proper year-ender. Talagang pag-usapan natin over the next days, Ronald, ano yung mga gusto natin pag-usapan para medyo maayos ang usapan. Tatlo kasi magulo tayo eh. Madaldal. And alam mo naman, host ako kasi I want to make sure na ikaubos yung topic for the next na. Diba?
Bro, ang problema natin yung tatlo, parehas tayong host, parehas din tayong guest.
Pero ako yung brutal.
Ikaw yung full crew, no?
Salamat. Thank you so much, Sir Ronald. God bless and have a blessed week and talk to you soon.
And Merry Christmas, no? Especially to your mother, no?
Merry Christmas, sir. To your family loved ones, tsaka yung anak mong the best. God bless.